Cookbooks. I've always been fascinated by them. For me, they provide the perfect fusion of food and photography, two things that have defined my life for the past 10 years. But as the digital world takes over, recipe content is getting faster and more disposable. Between the endless scroll of TikTok cooking hacks and the flood of quickly made food blogs, the depth and quality of recipe creation often feels lost. Sure, it's quick, it's viral, but at what cost? Then it hit me. Just like vinyl collectors seeking the authentic sound of their favourite albums, or book lovers cherishing the feel of the pages, there's something timeless about cookbooks. Not the quick celebrity-driven kind today, but the cookbooks of the past. These weren't just thrown together, these were crafted. Each recipe tested, edited, retested, and painstakingly compiled. They weren't just about feeding the algorithm, they were about feeding our soul. Yet many of these cookbooks now sit untouched, gathering dust on our shelves. Why? Not because the recipes aren't good, they absolutely are, but because they no longer look the part. I'll admit it, I'm guilty of this too. I've got a couple of cookbooks from 20-30 years ago that I never open anymore. The photos feel dated, the design uninspiring, especially when compared to today's beautifully edited Instagram reels. So in this video, I want to change that. I'm going to drive into the past, pulling out recipes from those older, expertly crafted cookbooks and giving them a fresh, modern twist. I'm not rewriting the recipes, just updating them with newer techniques, perhaps an ingredient swap or two, and modern plating to bring these dishes back to life. The essence of the recipe will stay the same, but the presentation will reflect today's culinary trends. Because in the end, as a home cook, chef, or any other creative, we stand on the shoulders of giants. There's so much we can learn from the chefs of the past, and if we can take their influence and make it fresh, exciting, and relevant again, well, that's how we honour them and keep their legacies alive. If you're new here, welcome. I'm Tom, a food photographer who spent the last decade working with some of the top chefs across the UK. Now this video is a bit different from what you might be used to on this channel. Usually I'm all about plate design and presentation tips to make your food look amazing, but I've been wanting to push myself and try something new for a while. Now don't worry, I'll still be creating educational content, but when I reached out to you, my amazing community, what you'd like to see more of, the top answer was a challenge or vlog style format. So here we go. So just like when I started this channel, I'm going to be stepping out of my comfort zone again with this one. Now it's definitely a risk as I'm not used to this style of content. But as I always say, you've got to be willing to fail if you want to grow. Time to practice what I preach. Eek. So where do we start? First, I need to find a cookbook with a recipe worth reviving. But it's not just about the recipe. The book also has to include a photograph of the dish as well. Now you might say this sounds easy if you're thinking of any of today's cookbooks, where every page is filled with stunning imagery, which, let's be honest, is probably one of the reasons you buy it in the first place. But go back 30 years or so, and it's a very different story. You'll be lucky to find a dozen photos scattered throughout a book with hundreds of recipes. Before that, well, some of the earliest cookbooks were nothing but text. So the hunt begins. I'm going to be going through my own shelves, asking family and friends, and even checking out some local charity shops and libraries. Who knows what hidden gems I might find. Once I've got the recipe, the next challenge will be cooking and presenting it. Now this is the part that's got me really nervous. As many of you know, I'm a photographer, not a chef. I'm an average home cook at best. So this could either go really well or end up as a complete disaster. Fingers crossed it's not going to be a total car crash, so please be gentle with me. Right, so there's been a slight change of plan for today. I did try and hope to use all of my own cookbooks for searching through some recipes and stuff, but most of mine seem to be a little bit too modern, so there's really nice photography in there, beautiful recipes as well, but what I'm looking for is something a bit older really, probably more into the 20 to 30 years rather than the 5 to 10, which is what I have at home. So what I'm doing now is heading off to the local library and also to some charity shops, just to see if I can find something a bit more suitable. Wish me luck. Well, I've just got back from the library and the charity shops, and I come back with two really good books. Firstly is the Delia Smith cookery book. This is an absolute classic that I remember my parents using, to be honest with you. And then a really exciting one is The Nose to Tail of Eating by Fergus Henderson, who's got a brilliant restaurant called St John's in London, all about sort of offal eating and using bits that you don't normally use. Both of these are fantastic books for me, I think, because neither of them have a huge amount of picture in them. We've got some, but not a great deal, so that can certainly be improved upon. And both are such really well-known entities in the UK, certainly, that I think they'll create some brilliant recipes, even if they are slightly old. I mean, I think this is probably from the 80s, and the Fergus Henderson one is certainly from the 90s. So again, not a huge amount of imagery in any of this, but I'm sure the recipes will be really exciting. So I'm really pleased with these finds. I've just remembered there's one more charity shop to check out, so let's go and see if we can find some culinary gold in there. Well, as it turned out, it was an absolute stroke of genius to go into that last charity shop, as I came across this brilliant book here, which is Far Flung by Floyd. Now, Keith Floyd's another one of those brilliant chefs from the 80s and 90s that most people may not be aware about, but has had a huge impact on many other chefs and TV chefs as a whole. So this book could be really cool, not only because, again, it's the right sort of age and not a huge amount of photographs in here, but what's really exciting is it's Southeast Asian food, which again can photograph really well, so might work pretty well for this project. So very excited to be going to look through this in a little bit more detail, but I'm really pleased I found it. Well, do you know what? That was actually loads of fun going to the charity shops and library today. Really enjoyed it. I've come away with some cracking books, hopefully. We've got the Nose to Tail one that I talked about earlier. We've got Delia, Keith, and then also this other one that I picked up, which is Leith's Cookery Bible. I mean, check this out for a thick book, goodness me. Leith's Cookery School is actually run by Prue Leith, who some of you may well know from the Great British Bake Off. She's one of the judges on that, so it's been around the UK scene for ages. And this book was done back in the 90s, so it's really interesting to see maybe what this is going to produce for us. So I'm just going to look through some of these books, just to have a quick squiz, just to see what recipes jump out at me. So I'm going to start certainly with Delia, I think. This one actually looks really good, so I'm going to take a little picture of it, and then I'm going to add it to freeform. Delia, picture, add. I think we'll be a lot more refined in terms of what we can do here, perhaps with a linear layout, or even condensed maybe. But I really like the choice of this. I'm really excited to give that a go. So let's move on to the next book. So I think we're going to go on to Leith's now. It's an absolute beast of a book. It's going to take quite a while to go through this one, so bear with me. And the imagery is really, really good, actually. I mean, really nice images, but just simple and basic. Oh yeah, here we go. This is more like it. Venison with lemon and red currant sauce and rusty potatoes. That is right up my street. I absolutely adore venison, especially done pink. I think maybe, just thinking possibly more linear approach, or condensed again would work really well. The plate here makes it look quite rustic, but for me, I think a more cleaner, more precise approach will again make this hearty dish look pretty amazing. I think we need to try and get a little bit more colour into the design, so maybe adding some greens or something like that, which again is nice and autumnal, so could work pretty well. Wow, yeah, really excited about that one. That could be delicious. Linear and condensed. Oh, and I think really with the, I'm thinking again about the Delia dish. I think more modern, rustic perhaps. Now I think about it, that I want something quite so precise for that. Interesting. Here we go. Okay, so this one is the Fergus Henderson book. With this one though, there really aren't very many pictures of the food at all. They're more sort of people, but I think for the purpose of this, I want to have a before and after image. I think I might drop this book for now. All right, here we go. On to Keith. I used to love Keith Floyd as a kid, watching his programs on TV. He really was one of the first TV chefs that I certainly remember. The photography in this book is actually really, really nice, really, really strong. I very much like what they've done here. But to be honest, I think it's just the fact that Southeast Asian cuisine just looks amazing. You've got beautiful colours without even trying. You've got wonderful ingredients. You've got great texture. Clearly some of the plating can be improved upon. And I've come across this wonderful lobster in preserved black bean sauce. Lobster is absolutely wonderful. And again, you can make it look fantastic on the plate. But again, the photography is really, really dark. We need to see more of the ingredients. We need to see more of the lobster, definitely. That beautiful red shell, perhaps. And you can also engineer some other colours in there, which will just add more pop, more precision. Yeah, so I think this is the one that I'm going to pick for the mood board. So let's narrow this down and pop it in. And for this one, I think I really want to have maybe an isolated plating style for this, because that could work really well with all the different ingredients that we can place together. So let's check out what we've got. We've got the Delia Smith book with the lamb's kidney and red wine. We've then got the Leith's Cookery book with the venison and red currant with lemon. And then finally, the Keith Floyd book with lobster and black bean. For me, I really can't resist the venison, I think. I think that's the one I really want to try because I just adore venison. It's one of those meats that I just enjoy every single time I do it. It requires precision to cook properly. It requires skill to replate in the styles that we talked about. I think we talked about linear and condensed. So that is the one I'm going to try first. It's making me nervous, but I can't wait to give it a try. Let's see how it goes. You know how I said at the start of this video, it could turn into a bit of a car crash? Well, unfortunately, it absolutely did, and I'm still cleaning up the mess this morning. What happened yesterday, I hear you ask? Well, unfortunately, I spent the entire day shopping, prepping, and then cooking the venison dish, but I came to the conclusion rather late in the day that I just don't think I have the skills to pull it off. So I think it's safe to say I officially bit off way more than I can chew. So I filmed the entire process from yesterday, but to be honest, I don't really want to waste your time showing you something that didn't work. But I do think the idea for this video is solid, so I'm not going to give up now. In fact, I'm going on to plan B, bring on the big guns. Yep, it's official. I'm going to be asking a proper pro chef to come and get involved in this project, to hopefully bring this dish to life in the way that it deserves. Now, finding a top chef who's not insanely busy and is willing to take part in this project is going to be tricky. But I'm going to open up my little black book, or rather my phone, to see if I can find somebody to get involved. So, if you're keen to find out which chef I managed to convince to come on board in this project to help me revive a beautiful dish from one of the cookbooks we've seen earlier, you'll need to click on this video here, and I hope you enjoy it.